What's up guys, we're going to be taking a look at this lab, inconsistent security controls. This lab's flawed logic allows arbitrary users to access administrative functionality that should only be available to company employees. To solve the lab, access the admin panel and delete the user Carlos. Alright, let's check out the lab. We really don't need to understand code on any deep level to understand the problem with this lab. The flow for accessing the admin panel as an employee is just illogical. It doesn't make sense. The title is Inconsistent Security Controls. In other words, there is a security control in place, but that same security control is lacking in another part of the web app. So let's see where the security control exists. And then let's see that second example where the security control is no longer in place, hence inconsistent security controls. Now, a few basics regarding this lab. We have access to a mock email client. If we just load that up, we can see the email address they've given us here for the purposes of this lab. So we're going to grab that email because it's used as part of the sign up process for this site. The other thing that's worth noting here is that there is an admin panel. Now you could spend a bunch of time with root enumeration to find the /admin panel, but it seems fairly obvious from the lab guidelines that there's probably a /admin root since it mentions the admin panel. Notice this fairly spurious message. Admin interface only available if logged in as a don't wanna cry user. So if you are a don't wanna cry user, I guess that means you can access the admin panel. By the way, this is already far too much information for someone who doesn't have an account yet. This is not a piece of information that I need to know as a random visitor to your site. This is almost a type of information disclosure. Why are you telling me this? If I'm a legit don't wanna cry user, I'd probably realize that I need to be logged in with my don't wanna cry account in order to be able to access admin functionality. You don't need to tell everyone else that. Now it gives us an idea as the attacker. If we can be logged in somehow as a don't wanna cry user, then it seems that we're automatically going to get access to the admin panel. Okay, with all of that in mind, let's head to register. Once again, we have far too much information here. If you work for Don't Wanna Cry, please use your @don'twannacry.com email address. So combined with the previous piece of information, we know that to be viewed as a Don't Wanna Cry user, we simply need to sign up with the email address ending in @don'twannacry.com. Now we might think, okay, great, we'll just sign up with that email address, right? Let's do any @don'twannacry.com. The problem is that the registration process relies on we need to receive an email through the email client in order to verify account. So I can't spoof that I have a Don't Wanna Cry email address because I won't then receive the email. I can't complete the registration. So this is an example of a security control. I can't pretend to be a don'twannacry.com user because I don't have a don'twannacry.com email address. So for now, let's just sign up with the mock email address we've been given. We'll have username any and we'll create a password. We'll choose register. Please check your emails for account registration link. Let's refresh the mock email inbox. Please follow the link below to confirm your email and complete registration. This registration flow, anyone who's used the internet is probably familiar with this. To fully activate our account, we need to receive this link in the email. We now have a successfully registered account. But of course, since it's not don'twannacry.com, if we try and access /admin, we still can't access the admin panel. Only available if logged in as Don't Wanna Cry user. Fine. Now if we head to the My Account section, let's log in with our newly created account. If we head to /admin, you can see admin interface only available if logged in as Don't Wanna Cry user. Let's head to My Account. Your username is any, your email is, followed by our email address. We get the option to update our email address. Now this is where we get to the inconsistent security controls, because what is to stop me saying that my email is now changing to any @don'twannacry.com? Surely I have to go through that same verification process, right? That's why there's a verification process, so I can't pretend that I have a Don't Wanna Cry email. I have to prove it by clicking on the link. So if I want to change my email, by that same logic, I should still receive that same link to this email address to prove that I have access to that specific email. Let's choose update email. It's changed my email address. I don't need to verify that by clicking on a link. So I created the account with a different email. Then I was able to change the email to don'twannacry.com without the need for that same security control. clicking the link in the email. Hence the title Inconsistent Security Controls. When registering, I have to click the link. When changing my email, I don't have to click the link. It's not logical. Logically, we'd have to go through the same check each time. Notice I even have the link admin panel now. Let's click on that and have access to the admin panel, which then gives me the ability to solve the lab by deleting the user Carlos. Congratulations, you solved the lab. So we can see that security was based around the user having a specific email address. So this is already an authentication flow that doesn't seem that typical. And if you were going to implement an authentication flow like this, then it should be fairly obvious that we absolutely need to protect the change email functionality, because the authentication flow is based on the email address that a user has for their account name. So we could either make sure we protect the change email functionality, or probably even better, slightly more traditional approach, don't grant admin access based on someone's account name. Maybe just manually grant them admin access if you know they're supposed to be an admin, for example. So if as a developer you ever find yourself doing something that's completely different, involving authentication that you've never seen on another web app, there might be a reason why no one's ever done things that way. It could be a sign that you're coding something insecure. Or even if you can do it in a secure way, it may indicate that you need to be extra careful about the way that you write your code. Because for standard authentication flows, there are typically frameworks available. In other words, a security expert has possibly done all of the legwork for you. You can make use of existing hardened frameworks for authentication. If you're just generating your own authentication flow based on your own code, you need to be extra careful and you need to have a good understanding of the security implications of what you're doing. Here we can see an example of how the implementation was illogical, allowed us to bypass authentication and access the admin controls. All right, that's pretty much it for this lab. Thanks for checking out the content. See you guys in the next lab.